Hi, welcome back to Tigerchicksresinjungle. So this week I decided I'm going to do a couple of mushrooms. I'm mixing up my resin currently, and I'm going to do them in St. Patrick's Day colors. So they're going to be gold and green. One of the molds came from Temu, and the other mold came from Let's Resin. So this is the Let's Resin mold. It's smaller. This is the Temu mold. It's bigger. I've got 20 ounces of resin mixing up. Right now I'm mixing up 6 ounces, and my mixer is mixing up the other 14. Because I want to make sure that this doesn't cure in my cups. And I'm going to try and do both of these kind of the same way so that they'll be like a set. A smaller jar and a bigger jar. But I've got to mix these up, and then I've got to run them through my debubbler after I mix up my colors. So I'm going to mix up my colors. Okay, so this one is pretty well mixed. We're going to mix this one. And let's see. I think I'll mix this one, and I'm going to make this one. It's 6 ounces. But you know what? I'm going to make these 6 ounces gold. Sounds like a plan. And then I need I measured these out, and hopefully I measured correctly. I think they're not going to take all 20 ounces. I think they're only going to take 16. So I think I'm going to have 4 ounces left. So I'm going to mix up this gold, and I'm just going to dump it right into my resin and mix it up, because I'm going to have to put it through the debubbler anyways. Put 2 good scoops in there and see how that looks. So this is Olympic Gold, and it's part of my 64 or my 63 count Osbang mica powder set. So we'll get this mixed up. Look at this gold though, isn't it pretty? So I figured green and gold, they're shamrocky colors. You know, leprechauns like their gold and green. Okay, that's mixed up. That's been 4 minutes. So let me get that. I'll be right back. Give it a quick little stir itself. We'll make sure we get the sides and the bottom. Because even though we used a mixer, you have to make sure you scrape your sides and your bottoms. And I see some some mica powder floating in there. All right, so in here, I've got 14 ounces. And in there, I've got 6, so that's my 20. And I think this takes 16, so I need to separate off 10 ounces. So I'll take out 4 ounces and put it into a separate cup. I'm going to put it into this cup because this was the cup it was in before. And I'll just stir it up in here. Alright, so that's 4 ounces separated. Now we've got the other 10. And boy, am I covered in resin. I try not to be sticky, but it doesn't always happen. Alright, I'll give this another mix. I'm going to put some of this color in here now. Normally I've mixed these up with the alcohol first, but alright, there's 4 good scoops of that. And this is moss green. I'll get this one mixed up. May take a minute here. Then I'm going to run them through my debubbler. Sorry if I'm not showing you how I'm mixing. There we go. Just wanted to scrape the sides a little better. Oh, that's going to be a nice color because it's already got kind of a gold sheen to it. Alright, there we go. Alright, they're in the debubbler. Huh. I thought they'd be kind of cute since they're 2 different sizes. Like I said, this one is the Let's Resin one, It's got some, you know, mushrooms colors, which I'll color after with some paint markers. And the bottom is just clear. And then I got this one off of Temu, and it has lines in the side of it to make it kind of look like a mushroom base. And then it's got its top, which has the lines here too, and it's taller. So, see, they're completely different sizes. One's bigger and taller, and one's shorter and narrower. But the bases are almost identical sizes. But I figured, you know, they'd be kind of cute as a jar, you know, as a set. And since when this video posts, it'll be the weekend of St. Patrick's Day, I figured I'd go with St. Patrick colors. So I'm working on debubbling, so once that's debubbled, I'll come back and we'll get to pouring. Okay, my resin is degassed. Give it a little stir. Make sure all that mica powder is mixed. A little spritz. Get some of the bubbles. Give this one a little stir. Alright, now move that cup out of the way. Wipe this off real quick. Pour this in here. This cup is so hard to hold. And now that I'm sticky, I can't even hold this. Okay, get that out of the way. Give this a little pour. Oh, and that looks like it's just going to blend right in. You know what? I don't think that's going to work so well. So, I need my little cups. Little cup, little cup, little cup. There we go. Ooh. All right. I didn't realize it blends so well. So have you ever had one of those times where you're making your video, you're into pouring, and you just completely forget to talk because you're recording? So that's what I did. I was in the zone doing what I was doing and completely forgot I was recording. So I completely forgot to talk to you guys. Even though I had been recording previously, I just didn't think about it. I was just into thinking of what I was doing, and I was just pouring. So now I'm doing a voiceover so that you guys don't have so much dead air where I'm not actually speaking to you for a few minutes. I didn't think about it. I actually need to make sure there are no bubbles in here. There we go. Check that one too. Hopefully I got the bubbles out. And hopefully there won't be any. And now that I have filled these, I have to move them carefully. Oh, that's about as long as that one's going to get. Okay. Now, next, let's move on to the hats. All right, and this one, pour some more of this green. Pour some more of this yellow. All right. little bit in here. Then I'm going to pour a little bit of this in there. Oopsie. There we go. I want to try and get the edges, I want to try and get the edges of this. So I poured a little bit of green into both, and a little bit of orange, and a little bit of yellow. Okay, now let's try pouring these two at the same time. Okay. Helps if I actually get it in the mold. Look at the mess I'm making. Good Lord. Okay. Well, I'll clean that up afterwards. Oh my God, I'm super sticky. Ooh. I am going to run out of colors. See, let's get the green into here. I'll get the yellow into here. All right, we'll let this one sit here for a second. I can work on this one. Okay. All right, let me clean up my gloves here for a second because everything is sticking to me at the moment. And I need to not be so sticky. There we go. That's better. And how do I feel like I'm not good enough? All right, now let's see. Let me scrape this out. Okay, I've got a little bit in here. All right. This is getting sticky. All right. Now, I've got a screen here. Let's get this one filled up. Okay, clearly I was off in my measurements, which is fine. You would have thought 20 ounces would have been enough, but clearly not. Okay, I've got this over here. Going to make up some, you know what, I'm not going to make up more gold, I'm just going to make up more green. And this time, where is my, oh, like where is my bottle? There we go. Worry about that later. I don't have time to worry about that now. There we go. I get this mixed up. And I'm mixing it up with the alcohol just to make it a little bit easier to mix. And we're going to pour this into here. And stir it up. I almost poured everything into there, but I'm like, wait, I want that to be clear if I have some. Hopefully I'm not introducing too many bubbles. Oh, that might have been a bad idea. Okay. Okay. Trying to make sure I don't have any bubbles under this lid. There looks like a giant bubble there. Alright, hold on. Oh, oopsie. Boy, am I making a mess. Good Lord. Should have. There's definitely an air pocket in there. I may have to get some of this out of here. So let me try and do that. Okay, that's not going to work. Oh, it might work. I am making a mess. This is one of my messier projects, I'd have to say. I'm usually way neater than this. I've got more resin on the outside of this thing. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, look at that giant bubble right there. Okay, I think I got it. I hope I got it. Alright, let's see. Can I do this now? Alright. Let's fill that back up a little. Okay. And you, I'm going to need more. Okay. Oh, I am so going to need to clean everything after this, because I am making an absolute mess. Alright, let's pour you in here. Pour most of it. Get this mixed up. Give that a spritz. Still need more. everything I can. Alright, let me use my good scraper here. You know what, I'm not even going to color this. Just going to pour it down the center. Mix it a little. So much for my extras that I thought I was going to need. And apparently my measuring is not that great either. I mean, I tried. I measured and then I added. Clearly, my measuring nor my adding was very good. Alright, let's see if I can't get this stuff cleaned up. Alright, so hopefully these will turn out pretty. If not, I'll just try them again. Oops, sorry, banged my camera. Alright, so if you like what I'm making and you're enjoying my videos, feel free to comment, subscribe, like, show it to your friends. I'll have links to everything that I used, with the exception of the Temu mold, because Temu is just too hard to link. But I will have links to the colors. I will have links to the Let's Resin mold. I'm going to try and clean these up a little bit because they're just a disaster, but that's okay. Guess it doesn't really matter. This one I think has a bubble. I don't want a bubble. I think there's a couple of bubbles in this one. Okay, this one doesn't have any bubbles, so let me get this one out of the way. There we go. Alright, we're gonna these two over here for now. This one I think needs a little bit more poking and prodding. So where's my little poking and prodding guy? Because I'm afraid that there's a bubble right here that I can see that I can't get out. Alright, I need something like this. Actually, this will work, I think, better. I think there's a bubble there. Trying to make sure I get the bubbles out. And it's a little difficult to do since the mold is so full. Alright. I think I got them. I think there's one right here. Well, here's hoping that it's not a bubble. Alright. Okay, let's see. Can I get some of this resin back into the mold. Okay. I think I've done as best I can. I am as sticky as I'll get out. Those guys, quick little spritz. We're gonna hope this has got no bubbles, as if it does, I don't know what to do about it. Probably nothing. All right, I'm gonna move this to my other mat. Then I'm gonna clean up, and we'll be back for demold. So I'll see you then. Bye. Welcome back to Tigerchicksresinjungle. It's demolding day. Okay, so I've got a bunch of overpour here because I made a mess. Absolute mess yesterday. But I'll clean it off here. And it shouldn't be too bad. I've got a mess over here too. But everything should be cured. So we'll start with the little one. And let's start with this piece here. More spillage. Hopefully it's round. And let's see, where's my squirt bottle? Here you are. Alright. See if we can't get a little alcohol in there, just to make it a little easier to get it out. Oh, look at that. That's going to be super easy now. I went all the way around. Get rid of that. Alright, I will clean my mold up afterwards. This should just pop right out of here. Alright, there we go. Alright, I do have to do some trimming, and now it's all wet. So, get a paper towel here, dry it off. And we'll see how it turned out. Alright. Ooh, pretty. Look at that. I'll have to do just a little bit of trimming here because it's a little sharp. Hopefully the lid will fit. Alright, onto the lid. Now this is the Let's Resin one. It's a smaller one. So we're going to pull this off here. If I can get it. Let's see. You know, everybody in my house sits around, does nothing, until I decide to come downstairs, and then everybody gets up and walks around upstairs, because I'm in the basement. Squeeze a little bit of this in here, and see if I can't get that to loosen up. Because we want that to be looser. Come on. Get a little bit more in there. Alright. Put a little in there. Alright. Of course. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I actually popped this one out without you guys seeing it because I got interrupted and then just completely forgot that what I was doing and just popped it up by accident. So I've got a couple of bubbles under here and some micro bubbles, but it's the top. And I've got a few bubbles here, but it still looks pretty cool. I mean, it is a mushroom. So top goes on here like this. Now, isn't that gorgeous? It's simply gorgeous. And I'll color these in. I don't know what color I want to color them. I'll have to think that one out. All right, so there's the top, there's the bottom. All right, that's the Let's Resin one. Now I've got my Timu one, which looks a little odd shaped. That's okay. See if I can't get in here. Do the same thing we just did on the last one. Let's see, can I get something? Let's get this in here. There we go. Gonna do the same thing, squirt a little bit of alcohol in there. And that way, can move it around. And hopefully it will release like the last one did. All right. I think we got it. All right, pop this one out. There we go. All right. Okay, I'm covered in alcohol again. All right, so it's the bottom. See how it's not quite round right here? It's a little oblong. But I didn't get any bubbles, and this one has lines in the side here. You see them? No, it's not round here. That might be a problem when it comes to the top. And I don't know if I can fix that. We'll find out. All right, now I've got all sorts of spillage on here. I gotta get off first. Let's get all of this off first, because I don't want spillage all over the place. There we go. And I've got some more spillage here. And we'll pull this all off. Oh, came off all in one piece. That's convenient. All right, now here's hoping there's no bubbles in here, because, you know, there we go. Try and get some of this alcohol down there. Definitely going to have to clean these up with all that overspill. I'm hoping I got no bubbles. All right, here we go. Ouch. All right, there we go. Got it. That needs to be cleaned. Okay. Wipe you down. Oh, I got some bubbles. All right, let's see what we got. All right, here's the bottom. It's a little oblong. I've got a couple of bubbles, big bubbles. Big one here, big one there, big one there. This is a little oblonged. Ooh, but the top looks nice. Look at that. And I'm actually happy because you can actually still see the gold in both of these, which I didn't think you would. Look at the size of the difference. All right, now the question is, hey, it fits on. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't it cute? All right, gotta do a little trimming. A little trimming on here, a little trimming on there. Let's see, and I've got the micro bubbles under here too. But that's okay. I mean, it's a mushroom. What do you expect it to be? Can't be perfect. And I can probably fill these holes with some UV resin. Get these bubbles. And then they'll be perfect. Look at that. Got two matching mushroom jars. How pretty are those? All right, I still have to figure out how I want to paint the mushroom holes on the top. You know, these pieces here that you can, the little indents. Because I could paint them all. I just have to figure out what color. Especially since they're gold and green. But I'll do some trimming. I'll paint those up. I'll clean up my molds because they're dirty with overspill. And I'll get you some pictures. And then I'll get this video posted so that you have something to look at when I'm not here. So, hope you enjoyed the video. The links to everything will be in my description box. Like, subscribe, comment. I'm creeping up to my 500 subscribers. And when I get there, I'm going to do a special video and maybe a giveaway. You'll have to tune in to find out. All right, so let me figure out what color I want to paint these, do some trimming, and I'll get you some pictures. And until next week, bye.